And Brittany, if you can share your screen again, that's really helpful for our folks who will watch later.
Sure thing. I will share the tab we're going to be using. Give me just a moment. Okay, I'll start with the Wakelet one. It's probably easier. All right, let me know if you can't for some reason see that. It says you should be able to. I'm going to be sharing my materials first through a Wakelet link. If you've never heard of Wakelet, it's like my favorite thing in the world now. It's kind of just a little hub for organization. I really like it a lot. So it's like a Google Drive, but you can put any kind of link in it. So I use this a lot for collecting PD stuff like slides and materials that I get at PDs. So I figured I'd share all of my session info that way today. So when that link is shared in a moment, you should see this pop up. GIST icon mixtape, specifically my sessions. The first section is from my 8 a.m. session about peer reviews in Canvas. If you were curious about that and didn't get to do it, you're welcome to click the link and enroll in that Canvas course that goes through all the steps of how to do that. I'm going to upload the recording from that session to that Canvas course later. But if you're just here for this one, the 10 a.m. session is below that. If you keep scrolling, you can see on my screen now. I'm going to go ahead and copy that link. Oh, she just did. Perfect. Thank you, Martine. So I actually just came from the Genially session, which a lot of people were in. If you were in that one, what I'm going to show you, I'm pretty sure can be done in Genially, but I am really comfortable with Google Slides, and I know learning one more new thing right before a school year starts can be overwhelming. So maybe this will help take that idea and put it to something you're already a little more familiar with. But today we're going to be talking about self-paced lessons or instruction. Mine that I'm going to show you I used for my spring final exam. And I'll introduce myself in just a moment. Let me make sure my stuff's loading. Yeah. Okay, so hello, everybody. We have a couple more minutes for people to log in, but that is not a problem. I'll go ahead and get started. My name is Brittany Spears. That is my real name, I promise. My students think it's pretty funny too. And I am an AP dual credit English language and composition teacher at Rowlett High School, but I have taught all levels of English too. I have taught 6th grade, all levels of English, and I've taught 4th grade reading. So I've got a really wide berth of experience in the ELA side of things. I'm going to show you today can be used in a variety of content areas. And honestly, I think you can use it in elementary just as long as you know your students well and just make it in a way that's going to be easy for them to access. Hopefully, the way I've presented it will be easy for you guys. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and go to that Wakelet link and open the template that I have included there. It should open a Google slide. And if you've never seen this format of link sharing, it's also my new favorite thing. So I'm switching my tab now. It should be shared in the presentation. Let me know if for some reason it's not showing the template page. I wanted to start with this one, because you can see what the presentation looks like before you make a copy of it. That's really nice. You will want to click Use Template because all of my tips for how to do everything in this are in the margins. I'm literally giving you the one that I use. All my links should be accessible, but let me know if you click something and it's not. The only ones that won't be accessible are the Canvas links that are from last semester. I don't have a way to fix that yet. Okay, I don't see questions in the chat, so I will keep going. The other reason I wanted to show you the Use Template page is because it shows that white bar with the arrows at the bottom that pop up when you embed it into Canvas as well. And these are really helpful if you're just doing a straightforward slide presentation you want kids to click through, but I don't want them to click through it. And if you click on it the way it is now, you'll notice it goes straight to slide 16 because I like having control. It also just makes it less confusing for students because the way I have it locked down, if you hit the arrow a bunch of times when it's not locked, every video I have starts automatically and it's very loud and chaotic all of a sudden. So the only thing that my students need to click from the front page is the Get Started button. You'd be shocked how many students don't understand that get started, click here means they need to click there. But go ahead and use the template or make a copy of it. This will save it to your drive too, so you can access it anytime you want, and you can use it as your kind of master slide if you want to replicate this in the future. So you don't have to change a lot of the settings, just maybe some of the design features or stuff like that if you feel so inclined to use this in the future. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Like I have made a copy. And let me know if for some reason what I show on my screen doesn't look like what your screen shows when you download it. And I know if you're watching the recording later or trying to look at my screen instead of following the slides, it's really small. So I recommend that you go to the link in the Wakelet, download the template of the slide so you can follow along on your own, and you can zoom in as far as you need to. Okay. If anybody has questions, please let me know. Looks good so far. All right, so I mentioned that white bar at the bottom. If you hate that thing like I do and don't like having the bar showing up, I know this is especially, important for people who like to use Google Slides for their Canvas homepage, and you don't like that bar showing up because it's just one page. Oh, of course, my internet is freezing my whole computer. Bear with me. But on the left-hand side of that very first title slide, the big red box shows you how to, oh my God. Okay, thank you, Google. The big red box on the left-hand side says what you need to add to the link when you embed it in order for it to show up without the bar. You can put slides in Canvas without that navigation bar. So in case you have been stressing over that and never figured it out, I did extensive Googling for that one. And I included the iframe embed information, and the bolded part is where you would add that.
Can you model that for us one more time? You just had a little buffering going on.
Yeah, when I opened the slides, everything stopped. So I thought that might be happening. No problem. So when you open the template, oh my heavens, it's doing it again. It's because I have a Google Meet open. So when you open the when you open the Google slide, the title slide has a box to the left. If you don't like having that navigation bar with the white bar and the arrows showing up in Canvas, when you take that embed code, I've showed you in bold on the left what to add so that it takes that away. So you don't have to worry about your students clicking something and getting out of order if you want to keep the control of what slide they're on. So that's all explained in the box on the left. And if anything doesn't make sense, feel free to email me. My email is at the end of that template slides on slide 13. I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna let it load for a second. Let it think. All right, if you're on the title slide, on the right, you'll see a red arrow. This explains that this is just my title slide. There's nothing for students to click on or do on this slide except the yellow Get Started button, and that is linked to slide 2. So if you click on that, you'll see that a link pops up. You have to do the entire box, not just the words, because then you don't have to worry about where your students click on it. But that was really helpful for my kids. And I teach 11th grade, so I'm sure anyone with younger kids, the easier it is, the better, right? So if they click on just the title slide, it'll take them straight to slide 13 that just has my contact info and like credits. So they know that they need to go back if they do that. All right.
Brittany, if you at any time, if you're experiencing a lot of buffering and you want me to present and you just narrate for me, you just let me know.
Okay. I do need it open because it's too small on my screen to see in the presentation. So
awesome. I'm going to put it in presentation mode. and then you can just narrate for me. I take direction well. Well, don't ask me.
Okay, thank you.
That.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, no. Mine is moving slow.
Yeah.
All right,
I think it looks okay, cool. All right, so does anyone have questions about the title slide? That's pretty straightforward, I think. I didn't see anything in the chat, but I don't want to move too quickly. All right. If you could click to the or click the get started button or just click the second one. I don't remember. Yeah, it's not even loading at all on my computer. There it goes. Okay. So the playlist has several arrows in the margins because this is the one that is like your hub. This is where all the information comes from. If you were in the Genially presentation or have used something like it before, the buttons on the right, the different colored buttons, take them to the slides I want them to go to for the different activities. So this particular playlist, I made this this past semester because I attended a training in February and I thought it was an amazing idea and was great for my needs in my classroom. And then the district had all of us make playlists after we came back from spring break in April. So I was already ready to go because I'd been working on this for several weeks. So if this looks familiar or sounds familiar, it kind of because it is. If you're an English teacher, at least. I don't know what every other content area did, but I thought it was a great idea. So the fact that I was already working on it was really cool. So in this particular playlist, there are some assignments that were graded components that every single student had to do. And as I said before, this was my final exam for my classes in the spring. So they had to do every single one with the asterisk in the title. And so my students knew that if it had an asterisk, they had to at least do those. The last two were options, but highly recommended if they were taking the AP exam, which over half of my students did. So if you notice, I'm going to read the arrows on the left side. On this slide, notice that the teacher instructions video is there to help guide students on getting started. I apologize for any typos that are included in my arrows. I also included like subtitles in it, so students didn't have to have the audio on if they're like in a crowded place or every student's watching the same video at the same time. But everything I'm telling you, pretty much I included in that video, telling them to click stuff on the right. They could go in any order that they wanted, but they had to do the things with the asterisks. And if they got confused or needed extra help, the yellow button, I need help, miss, at the bottom takes them to slide 13. That has my email and the tutorials information that will, of course, be updated for the next year and however I adapt this assignment. You can use the insert menu. So at the top with all like file, edit, view, the insert menu allows you to embed videos from YouTube or straight from your Google Drive. Do make sure, a lot of us know this, but we always forget. I'm guilty of it. Make sure that any videos that are from your drive have been shared so that anyone with the link can view. You can make it GISD, but a lot of students will log in with other emails and then can't access it. So I just make my life easier. I also shared this with fellow teachers outside the district, so it was just easier for me to have it set that way. And then on the right side, you will notice some more arrows. In the colorful buttons, I have linked to the different slides in the slideshow that goes with those assignments. So if they click the pink one at the top, it's only going to take them to the synthesis slide. So if we were looking at this in presentation mode, you can click that and go straight there. And that's really neat. I did notice something though, when I was embedding this into Canvas. You can hide slides so that students can't see them from the main first page. But as soon as they access this playlist, they can use the arrows to navigate back and forth. I told my students not to use the arrows because videos start automatically. Any audio on the slide starts automatically and it's chaotic. But I like control of it too, of them not having to worry about where they're going. So what in order to prevent them from clicking on the slide and advancing by accident or on purpose, I put one big box all around the entire slide. It's the same size as the slide, and I sent it to the back. And I had that linked to this exact same slide. So slide 2, the whole thing is linked to slide 2. So if they click in the middle of the screen outside of my video or those colored links on the right, they're not going at all. So other than the arrow issue, they shouldn't have to go anywhere. And if you forgot those steps, because I said them fast, that right arrow tells you how to make the box and then link it and then send it to the back. So let me know if at any point I need to slow down. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click to the next slide. I'm not going to follow the links on the slide since I seem to be having loading issues. I'm just going to go straight down the slides. But you will notice that on each of the assignment slides, they're color-coded to match the, so they know where they're at, that pink synthesis. And anything that is a link, I made the same color. So it's just a little bit easier. Step one for them was to go through sources that I needed them to look at and to review the prompt. You don't have to open these, but they are accessible if you would like to. So that is just a helpful way to set it up so that it is neat and easy for students to find what they're looking for. Because I find when it's just linked in the same color, my students, even in 11th grade and an AP dual credit class, struggled to find it. So step two for this one is kind of why I really love this idea. They can go straight to the Canvas assignment from this slide. I copied all of the instructions that were from step one into the Canvas assignment. So it was in two places, but the Canvas assignment post obviously will not work because you're not in my Canvas courses and now they are unpublished. But my students found this to be really, really helpful because they were able to find the sources and the link to submit in the same place. And I told the assignment was worth, and on the right, you can see some more tips that I gave you for how to put these together. So to keep students from using the arrows to auto advance the slides, that's from slide 1 to slide 13. I was kind of just talking about this too. Then you want to make sure to hide every slide that's in the deck that you don't want them to access. So that may be all of them past slide 1 or only a few here and there. And you can access that from the slide menu at the top. Yeah, the slide menu. And then you can just click skip slide for whichever slide you want to do that with. But as soon as they're on the page, apparently the arrows still work. Didn't know that till I learned it in class. So that was why I gave that PSA before. And then also on every slide, there is a return /home button. So students know how to get back to the playlist slide. So they don't have to click the left arrow to go back to playlist. That is really helpful. Not a single one of my students had trouble navigating this if they listened to the video and followed instructions. It was the students who just like, I don't know what they were doing at home with their cameras turned off that had issues. So slide 3 is going to look slide 4 is going to look exactly the same as slide 2. So if you just want to click through these slides, you will see that just the format of them is slightly different. Slide 5 does have another helpful tip for you. One second. Sorry, I'm loading on my end. I forgot. In slide 4, I do have one more tip. Embedded slides and or present preview links like to still show the skipped or hidden slides when you use the left or right arrows. Oh, I did add that tip. I did this so long ago. Sorry, guys. In order to try to force students to use the playlist navigation, including that same slide between your individual activities is a helpful trick. And sorry for the typo. Yeah, so that's why you'll see the playlist over and over. So if they hit the arrow, they just go right back to the playlist anyway. That helped a lot of confused.
Brittany, can I model that a little bit? Walk me through that a little bit more. So when the students in presentation mode, they still have access here, right?
Yes, and I didn't know that until we played around with it in class.
Sure. And then talk me through your tip again about like what they can do to get around that.
So the first most helpful thing is when it's embedded or presented. Presented is a little different because it's just a link. But if it's embedded, if you use that code from the very first slide, add that little bit to your iframe, it'll take away the arrow navigation that it gives you automatically. So that'll help with the clicking. On each playlist slide, I also put a transparent rectangle box around the whole thing. Sent it to the back and linked it to the same exact slide. So if you're on a playlist and you click on the slide, it's not going to advance you like a normal presentation. because we don't want that to happen. The other issue we did notice, though, once you're in the playlist, you can hit the arrows on your computer. So like on your keyboard to go back and forth. And so first I just asked my students not to, but in case they did, I put the playlist between every specific slide so that if they did, they just went right back to where they were supposed to be. So yeah, that really helped a lot for my kids. All right, so in slide 5, if you click to that one, there's a big box on the left, but the big box is just about how to force a copy. If you've never done that before and you don't want the students to have their own copy, you just want them to look at something, then there's several different ways you can do that, kind of how I pushed out the template slide to you guys. I get a lot of questions about that from fellow teachers, so I thought I'd just add that for you guys. And my things being a little temperamental, I apologize. If for some reason you're scrolling and it kicks you to the next slide, just click in the text box and it'll let you look at the whole thing. Also, some arrows are too big and that keeps happening to me. So I've shown you some examples just for how to change to a preview link or a present link. And the use template one is really awesome, but that's a slightly different ending to your URL. So on this slide, I've included a video. I embedded it from YouTube, just like I explained from that initial playlist slide. And then all my other links are linked the exact same way they were linked in slide 3. They're just different colors now. So there's a few more steps to this assignment. And so I had to make my text a little smaller, but everything still fit really well. And my students can, again, see what is expected of them in each step of the process. All of the instructions were included in Canvas again, and then, of course, how much this assignment, part of the assignment, was worth. And it's kind of the same all the way down. If you click on slide 7, going past the other stuff, there is another box there about how to. So this one's about the make a copy link if you want to do that. So I kind of had 2 explaining the different URL endings. Let me just make sure there's not more that I forgot about. I think that was everything. Slides 9 and 10, I'm sorry, 9 and 11 have multiple videos and audio on them. The one I was looking for. I embedded audio to this one, and in it, I included in the arrow on slide 11 how to record your audio. I just included a link to my favorite website for recording audio because I just find it's really simple to use and that downloads straight to your. But there's a lot of different ways you can do audio. So that's just in case you've never done it before. And then you would also use the insert menu to pull those files from your Google Drive. Just like with the videos, you would want to make sure that the links are shared so anyone can view them, and then they'll play when they click on it. But this kind of slide is also why you don't want them using the arrows on the keyboard, because the second they hit the right arrow, one video will start, and then the next one will start, and then the audio will start every time they hit it. So if they keep hitting it, every single thing on the slide is playing at the same time. And then, this was for different teachers. Never mind, that teach Lang. I think I went through all of them. Let me just make sure. I wanted to give you guys time to go into slides on your own and play around with it, because that was my thing. It took me about 2 weeks to figure out all the kinks of this because I was starting from scratch, and I thought all of my arrows would really help. If you do use this slide deck, keep the credits slide because it's Slides Go presentation, and that's their attribution, but you can change any of the other text that you would like. Does anyone have questions? I know I went really fast, but I wanted to give you time to hear all of it and then click through it on your own. And Martina's presenting because my computer was running real slow, so let me know if you need anything. But you kind of have about 20 minutes to play around in your own slides, decide what you like, what you would change. But you can see how this would work with kind of really any grade level. It's just dependent on how you put it together. Turn Sorry, my dog's running around the house. I also included in that Wakelet link that Martine shared at the beginning 3 links to my favorite slides websites. Slides Go is my favorite, but Slides Mania and Slides Carnival are also awesome to use. You can just download their templates straight to your Google Drive, and they're a little bit more engaging and aesthetically pleasing to the eye than just a general blank one or the themes that they give you in Slides or PowerPoint, whichever one you're comfortable with. But I really like doing that because it lets me add a little bit more personality to my classroom. So there's a lot to work with on those sites as well. Oh, are we both presenting? Oh, we are.
I've been presenting the whole time as you were talking.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
I just realized that mine is still presenting. Do I need to turn mine off?
You can. If you need to, you can. I went ahead and just followed along to everything you were saying.
Perfect. Okay. All right. I'm just going to double check and make sure I didn't miss a tip, but I think I went through all of them. And my students really enjoyed doing this playlist. They liked being able to choose which one they started with. If you didn't pay attention to the words on the slides, the synthesis one, the pink first button on the playlist, was worth more points than the rest. So a lot of my students started with that one to get it out of the way. But there are some students who saved that for last because they wanted to get through the other stuff first. So that was kind of nice because they got to start with what they were stronger or weaker at. So it worked like an AP exam review and a final at the same time. And the reason the last 2 buttons were optional is just they're like practice videos for multiple choice and then some other things that are specific to my AP class. But there wasn't a grade tied to those. So that's why they were strongly recommended, but they weren't tied to a grade. So that was really cool because it made it kind of like a choice board, but also like, here's some mandatory things you have to do. I kind of struggle with doing choice boards myself because I'm like, well, I want kids to do all of those things. I could never decide what I wanted students, that I was okay with them only picking some. And this was like a happy medium for me that worked well in my classroom and for my kids. Yeah. I know that I talk really fast. So if you need me to clarify anything, please feel free to ask. Of course, of course.
Can you take us through how to, oh, I see.
Oh,
there's a question in the chat. There's a question in the chat.
How often do I sign them and how long do students work on it? Okay, so this was the first one I ever did and it was for my final exam. Now, remember, I am in high school, if you didn't hear that before, so we have block scheduling, which I know middle school had this year too. So I know y'all are going back to regular scheduling if you're middle school though. So I only assigned it the one time because I had just learned how to do it. I would probably do this maybe like once a quarter, depending on your class, if you have something that works with it. I think it works really well in English. And it could work really well as a review right before like a CBA or something like that in a different class. So you can kind of have a little link that goes to each like type of math that you practice. I clearly don't teach math. That's my husband's job. So I only did it the once. I wouldn't do it too much because I think it loses its effectiveness. And it's kind of hard to do it a lot because it's usually going over big things. And I gave my students 2 weeks to work on this. I assigned it on April 30th and it was due on May 9th, if you saw the first slide. So they had time in class to work on it and they could work on it outside of class. But the reason they had 2 weeks too is that was also the AP exam window. So it was a revolving door of students. So this was actually really helpful for my final exam because dual credit classes end 3 weeks before school ends now. So I had to have those grades done the same week that they were taking AP exams. So it was interesting. And this actually helped so much with that. Did you have a different question, Martine?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if you would share your screen and talk us, like model for us how you added that audio.
Sure. Let me go to slide, I think it was 11. Yes. So I believe there might be a way to record in slides, but I've never done that. What I use, if you go to slide 11, the red arrow on the right has these steps. So first you want to record your audio. I like Cloud Audio Recorder, the link that I have there. You can Google any audio recorder that will save to Google Drive. I would not get one that you have to pay for. That's, to me, not worth it because there's a lot of free ones that work just fine. Record what you need to say, and then it will save directly to the Google Drive account you link it to. The only thing to clarify is remember to change the link sharing once it saves to your drive. I always forget to do it on audio. I do it on videos really well, but audio I usually forget because I immediately take the link, but you have to go into Drive and change it. If you are wanting to add it, can you all see my screen right now? I just want to make sure.
No, we can't.
Oh, it says I'm still present. I'm confused. It says I'm presenting, but then I'm not presenting.
So if you're moving your cursor around, I don't see it. Does anyone else see the cursor moving around?
Okay, 1 second. Let me reshare.
Yeah.
Let me see if since I'm already on the slide, it will work. Sorry. Guys, I told everyone in my first session this. I went up to school and then all of Rowlett's Wi-Fi was out. So I rushed home before the 8 a.m. one. And I'm so sorry that I have kind of weak internet right now. Let me open it again. 1 moment. I'm sure we're all used to this now. I think we're all happy to not have to deal with these many tech issues related to Google Meet anymore. Okay, can you see that now? Is that better?
Yes, we can see the screen, but if you're moving your cursor, I don't see the cursor moving. Okay, I see it moving now.
Okay, so just like how you embed videos, I'll go ahead and show both of them to you. So if you click this insert menu under the title of your slide, there's a lot of things you can add. So there's an audio option here, which is newer. It didn't used to have this, so it's really cool. I will preface to say, if you're using this method, I would doubt you'd use Pear Deck or Nearpod, but embedded audio will not work in a Pear Deck or a Nearpod because you can't click on links. Just heads up in case you're trying to do that. I learned that the hard way. So you can insert the audio here or a video, same way, and you can choose to upload it from your drive. That's what I like to do because then I don't have just weird links to stuff that I may lose later. If it's in my drive, I know that I always have access to it. But you can see every single audio that I recorded this year. I had a student who had text-to-speech, so I just recorded all of her stuff. So there's a lot in here. This is why I always forget to change the permissions on the audio, though, because I can open it directly from here. I wish there was a way we could change permissions from like a big screen. Maybe one day. But yeah, so you can embed or insert YouTube videos, or you can include videos from your drive as well as audio from your drive that way. And it's really awesome. If I'm doing like a self-paced lesson that's not in like Pear Deck or something else, and I want them to listen while I'm going over something, I will embed the slides directly into Canvas, and then they just click the audio at their own speed with their headphones, which is really cool. I use that all the time in my class. Yeah. Does anybody else have other questions? Are you playing around with it and running into some roadblocks? It's not a perfect system, but I think all the tips that I've included have made it almost perfect. If there's something else I missed that someone notices later, you're welcome to email me and say, haha, I foiled you. And also, like I said at the beginning, if you logged in late or maybe didn't go, Genially is probably a really good substitute for this. If all of the different settings overwhelm you, I think Genially does this for you. Didn't know that till this morning, but I know new tools are always a little overwhelming. Yes, Maria. It is linked in step 1 on slide 11. It's just called Cloud Audio Recorder, but the link is kind of different. Let me click on it. Well, maybe. It popped up before. There we go. All right, I'm going to click it. Let me share this tab once it loads. Oh. Redirecting. And this is the one that I like to use a lot because it downloads really fast. Like I've never had to wait more than like a minute or two, even on like a 20-minute audio. I wouldn't recommend 20-minute audios, but when I do a read aloud of a text, they tend to be a little longer. And there's no recording time limit. You can record more than 20 minutes. It just depends on your memory, but I think you're fine because it goes to your drive. What I do is I just record one long thing and then I go in and chop it up later, so that I don't have to stop and start over and over again. But that's a whole different session we could have about editing videos and audio. Okay, let me share this so you can see it. This is what it looks like. Hopefully it's switching to this tab correctly. You can let me know if it's not. Don't click any ads. They always like to do that. But just the start button will start your recording. Just like I can click it now and I'm talking and sorta. Oh, I gotta allow them. There we go. Now we're talking and it's recording, no problem. And you can stop it. You can restart and it starts over. Like if you made a mistake, you can pause it. It's like, oh wait, let me check my notes. All right, let me continue. All right, now I'm gonna keep talking. And then you can stop. There should be a way to save it, but maybe I'm not doing it well enough. Well, usually this button over here, there we go. So I just export as an MP3 and then I save it to the Google Drive. I know there's a typo on the website and it makes me laugh every time. The save to Google Drive, and you just change the file name and you can find it at the most recent stuff in your Google Drive. And you can play it back to hear how you sounded. I won't do that because who likes to listen to their own voice? Yeah, so that's just a really neat one that's really easy to use. Like some people have shared ones with me before that, I mean, I'm pretty tech savvy, so I can figure them out, but I know other people would be overwhelmed by them. So start, stop, save. This is pretty simple as it gets, I think. Yeah. I went through this one really fast. Ooh. Please ask questions. Or if you're doing this later, you have my email at the end of that slide that you copied. The link to that template is also in that Wakelet. If you didn't save it for yourself, you can go download it at any time. Or if for some reason you lose it or just want to share it with someone else and you don't want them to have your copy, then you can send them the Wakelet link as well. And it's got all those arrows and red boxes with tips and tricks. I tried to include every single thing I could in there. I got a very similar template from a training I went to in February, but there were only like 5 arrows on the whole thing, and it did not work for me. I had so many things that were going wrong, which is why it took me a lot of trial and error. But I think I worked out the majority of the big kinks if you like this setup. All right. Oh, this current slide is actually this tab is the link from slide 11 to the cloud audio recorder. Maria asked which app I like to use for audio, and it's just the website. So that's what's still presenting. Luis, I will copy that Wakelet for you. Just 1 second, if it hasn't already been. Yeah, there you go. The first chunk of information is from my first presentation at 8. So if you don't care about peer reviews in Canvas, just scroll down to the 10 a.m. one. And the link below that is the template. So if you open it first, it'll look like a preview window and you can only really click through like you're a student, which is really helpful because you can see how it works for a student. And then you can click use template to save it to your drive. It's just like forcing a copy, but you can see it before you copy it. I like that one a lot when sharing stuff with other teachers because I like to look at things like, do I want to make a copy of this before I do? Yeah. And then below the 10 a.m. session stuff, I have 3 links to just free websites that have a ton of slides templates. If you are bored of what you're usually using and don't like spending a lot of time on your own, there's tons that are on those three websites. And there's even more than that out there, but these are my 3 favorites. I use SlidesGo more than the rest, but they're all really good for adding a little bit of personality to your class. All right, I'm going to stop presenting that one. There we go. Okay, I don't think I'm presenting at all anymore, or I shouldn't be. So let me know if you want me to pull something back up or explain something one more time. I talk really fast, so sorry if you had some trouble following. But that's essentially it. I want to make sure, I see a lot of people have left. So can we put the attendance link in the chat for the people who've been here? I still want them to get their credit. Am I talking fast? Shouldn't exclude credit. Perfect. Thank you. And yeah, if you ever have extra questions about this, let me know. I wouldn't recommend doing more than maybe 5 or 6 tasks just because the playlist slide gets really full. But you can kind of play around with the format if you need more than that or want to give them more options. It's really up to you and what you can differentiate on your slides for your kids. That might also be really helpful for like elementary, if self-contained, or if you teach more than one thing. That might be really helpful because then you can have like a math thing and then English or reading, that sort of thing. That would have been really helpful when I taught elementary. I didn't even have a projector for 2 6 weeks. That was fun. All right. Well, if you have questions, you're welcome to stick around, but I'm basically done. So have a beautiful day. Make sure that you have filled out that form before you leave. Of course, of course. Thanks for joining me. Thank you. Oh, good. If you ever need anything, let me know. I guess we can stop recording, right? I can stop the recording. Stop.